have an ideal reader in mind originally when you wrote the story?
I didn't. I know you should. They say that. Who's your audience? I didn't. I just wrote the story.
If I knew the surefire way of how to write a successful book each and every time, my friend, that's all I ever do.
We can write that. We can publish that. It'd be a bestseller. Like I don't know. I know that I spend a lot of times at the computer crying. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, and nights. I spent a lot of times where it woke me up, and or I could be out in the theater and I'm like, that's looking at the play. That's why my dad is the way he is. Or I have a conversation and we're talking about something and I'll connect it back. Like, oh, yes, that's good. And it'll connect and reveal something about my character through a conversation. So I know that it was constantly evolving through the world that around me, which
something that attracts you to writing is trying to make sense of why people do the things they do and how they become who they are. Is that pretty central?
I think so. I mean, maybe because I'm still trying to figure out why I'm doing the things I do and how I'm to be, but because we are so much of evolving, I think that is a central thing. Who are we? And I think that probably is why it affects so many people, because we're like, how did we get this way? And maybe that's how I am. And we see the humanity in that. Like we all are trying to figure out and make sense of our backstory of our lives and why we make the decisions. I had a adult male said to me, he said, I was so mad at the dad. I was so angry. But it made me realize that how my daughter must feel when I make some promises and break them. And I hadn't even make that connection. Yeah, dad makes some promises because he's the alcoholic. Like you are a man, you have you're in a marriage, you've got a good job, so does your wife. You're not suffering, everything is successful in your life, but you've broken some promises. And you can identify with somebody that is, doing the same thing on a different level, right? And that spoke to me. Like we're always trying to figure out, well, maybe why we feel this way. And that does drive. Even the project I'm working on, why is it that we act the way we do? It just can't ever be we just act the way we do. It's a reason why. There's a reason why those girls wrote 100 reasons why they hate me. And this can't be because they like me, right? Or they're jealous of me, or they see something in me. They see something in themselves that they have to decide, like, are their parents measuring them up to something and they see it in me? Like, there has to be a reason. And I do think about that. Maybe that's a Libra in me. Why are we here? What are we evolving to? Who are you? Like, and it probably is, but there is, and that's what I do search out in some of my stories.
So usually, I'm assuming, just based on our conversation, you will always start with a character and worry about plot secondary?
Yeah. Like you could say Genesis wasn't plotted out, it's character driven. And Sydney, my story with Sydney is, I kind of have the essence of where I want this story to go, but I don't know how to get there. So it's not necessarily plot driven. I know that I need Sydney to deal with overcoming and finding her voice, or overcoming and being able to speak to her father who feels like he's squashing her voice. And how will she be an activist in this time? Where's her voice there? How she gets there, I got to figure that out. So I do have the problem that I need to work through.
So you have some idea of where you're going to end up, more or less? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by people though, because that's a little bit the opposite of me. Because I'm a plot first. Like, okay, I know I want to do a haunted house. There's gonna be aliens. Who's the most interesting, boring person you could put in that situation that's not gonna have time for it? A finance guy. Let's get a financial consultant who's going to be let's do the numbers only, because how horrifying for him that now he has to deal with ghosts and aliens. So I start there and then find my character working backwards. And you're doing the opposite. So when does an idea come to you, or does it a character that comes to you and you say, okay, this is who this next story is going to be about, and now I got to go find a plot for you?
Now, one, I'm fascinated that your mind works in that way with just the plot and without the characters first. But I don't know. Let me think about that. I do see my character, and I know, excuse me. I know where I kind of want it to go, but I see, instead of plots, I see smaller scenes.
Okay.
So I have a scene, I see for a while, I just see a scene where there's a confrontation, right? And then with her and her dad, I see a scene where she has to confront her mom, like, you're not speaking for me, you know. I see a scene where she is confronting the idea of wanting to be at this march or at this protest movement, but runs away, and how she deals with it. So I see the certain scenes. I don't know what comes first. I don't know, like, my beginning, middle, and end yet. As I start looking at those scenes and thinking about those scenes and even trying to write those scenes out with the characters I have in mind, then other things start to take fruition. More scenes come as I start plotting out what makes her afraid, what makes her, how did I do that? Like, what makes her afraid? What did she really want to do? So I'm trying to stick with, I don't know if it's a formula, like, so what does she needs or else what does she needs to die for? That's the central question. She needs to find her voice and break away from people's expectations of her. If she's to be anybody, so what are those stakes? If she doesn't find her voice and stop living under expectations, what's going to happen? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? And it's got to be something urgent, and I'm still struggling with that, right? Besides that, she won't ever find her voice. I need to make it, even as I start plotting this out, or, you know, like working with the scenes, I need to make it even more real, because Genesis was real and urgent, right? If she doesn't do it, then her dad's gonna keep gambling, and she's gonna have to get evicted again. And she gets evicted again, they're gonna have to go move with grandma, and they don't want to move with grandma. That's
with good reason.
Good reason, right? So I have found out yet. I'm still struggling. It's like, what's the urgency here? If she doesn't find her voice, what's the urgency? She just doesn't find it. So I need to find what's going to cause that urgency. And with Genesis, there were challenges to be beautiful, right? She got herself in some trouble. No trouble, no story.
Sure.
She got into too much.
And you have absolutely no trouble torturing your character for all of our entertainment, because she's very compelling.
There was so much more torturing that we cut out, because side note, people were like, I want another Genesis. Like, I need to know. And I was like, I can't do another Genesis. Like, there's no more trouble she can get into. She's done it all. Like, she stole a credit card. She's like wrote a book. Like, there's no more trouble she can get into. There can't be another Genesis. Lordy, she has learned from her mistakes. But like,
the title writes itself. Genesis begins again, right?
Somebody's gonna get you. Again and again. Bridges again. But like, with
7 books by the time you're done.
Oh my gosh. I have thought about it. My mom even read the book. She's a slow reader. It took her 6 months to read the book. She said, I got it. I know what you could do. And I was like, what is it? She could disappear. I was like, she disappeared already. She's gonna plot it out for me. We'll see if it's worth me writing again. But I would love to, write another Genesis, a companion novel, but it has to feel real for me. I just can't do it and push it out. I'm not prolific at all. I spend too much time really marinating on the stories first. And like I was saying with Sydney, I'm struggling to figure out what's at stake and what trouble can she get in, and if it's okay that the story doesn't have that formula, because I know that's what they teach you in graduate school, right? But what if she doesn't get in a whole lot of trouble? Would it still be a good story? And that's why I'm still fighting with myself, like as I try to draw out things.